the city of Aurora, Colorado yesterday, they confirmed what they refer to as components of the Venezuelan gang TDA and said that they're operating there, but they also said that reports of TDA's influence in Aurora are isolated. Of course, we all know that the statement comes as troubling surveillance footage of that gang, heavily armed men, handguns and the likes, traversing through an apartment complex there in Aurora, the suburb of Denver. That image would probably be more accurate in describing where Kamala Harris is when it comes to the southern border. Now let that sink in. There's a good imagery of where Kamala Harris stands on border security, not standing on the border with Donald Trump's wall in the background, which of course she actually used that in an ad. Amazing. But certainly what's happening in Denver is of great, great, great concern, and it in many regards is a direct result of this administration, including Kamala Harris, and their policies on the border. Well, joining me now to discuss this and more by phone is Congressman Alex Mooney. He proudly represents the 2nd District of West Virginia. Congressman Mooney, great to hear your voice. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, great to be with you again.
Well, listen, what's your reaction? We'll start with what's happening in Aurora, Colorado, and move on from there. What's your reaction to it?
Well, let's remind your listeners that the president of Venezuela is an open communist. He despises America and everything we stand for as people of faith and free markets. Even the countries around him, he lost the election just 2 weeks ago. He lost his election, but declared it invalid, won't release the results, and won't leave as president. So clearly he wants to harm America. And you have a completely open border that anyone can go through, drug dealers, criminals, people who want economic asylum. Like, the bottom line is we have a system where people can come here legally. There's ports of entry. A lot of people have come here legally over the years. But when, criminals, drug dealers, gangs see an open border, a president and Vice President Kamala Harris who refuse to close it, they're going to take advantage of it. And I think this is just the beginning of what you're seeing. I think there are sleeper cells that have come in from Iran and other places. We have Kamala Harris and President Biden have jeopardized our country intentionally. And I did a little research before I called in, Jody. On March 24th of 2021, President Biden said, as reported by the Associated Press, he said, quote, "I've asked her, the Vice President, Kamala Harris, today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle, stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border," close quotes. So the mainstream media these days is trying to downplay her role. She was put in charge of this 3 years ago. She is directly responsible for what's happening. It's complete lawlessness and chaos, and it's intentional by the leaders of our country right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was getting to by saying what's happening in Aurora and other places is more descriptive of her policy on the southern border than her standing with Trump's wall in the background, which is just unbelievably offensive. But look, you and I both know this is not just happening in Colorado. I mean, even the Venezuelan gang that is in Colorado now, they've got their foothold all across the country, New York and Texas. Right. And we've all seen how this border crisis now literally is making every state a border state. And what we're seeing right now could just be a preview of much more to come. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely it is. They've been pouring in. They continue to pour in. Anybody. And like I said, it's intentional. And they can profit now. They can traffic drugs. They can traffic human beings. They can traffic arms because nobody's protecting our border. So the gangs can get more powerful now, more money. They're not being fought. And, yeah, it's a real problem. I think you're going to see it more and more until we close our border. Like, criminals do evil things, but they're not stupid. They know when they can get away with, attacking people and trafficking and gang violence. The only way to stop it is to get tough on crime. So that's what they're doing.
Yeah, get tough on crime, and in this case, get tough on the border. I mean, we've got to stop letting these people come in. It's just, another thing, Congressman Mooney, that is interesting to me is Denver is a sanctuary city, but Aurora, a suburb, is being affected by it. So, we've got to understand that these bad policies don't just impact the sanctuary cities or that type of thing. It spills over into everywhere that it is. And so all of us are at risk of being enormously impacted by the outcome of these horrible policies.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. A sanctuary city invites the crime. I mean, all we're asking for is that if a criminal's arrested, that's an illegal immigrant, it get reported to ICE and they get deported. That's all we're asking for. And look, if Congress would do their job, and, I'm frustrated even with my own party sometimes as we lack the willpower to enforce our policies. But, we support not giving taxpayer dollars to sanctuary cities. They should not get taxpayer dollars that flow through the federal government. But, you have, we keep passing our spending bills without any restrictions, so they're getting away with this stuff. We should assert ourselves. I think it's critical that we assert ourselves. But while we still have some time to do so. And I was going to mention also, Jody, not only is this issue so important, but the secondary issue is how laws are made in this country. It's a constitutional crisis. You have a president and vice president, Kamala Harris, who think they can just ignore the law. They think that their job as president is to make up the law and do what they want, do whatever they feel like. They're not restricted by what the executive branch is supposed to do, which is only enforce the law. They're openly not enforcing the law. And this is really a question of, we have a law. You're supposed to deport people who are here illegally. That's the law. You're supposed to secure the border. You're supposed to come legally. They simply ignore it. And this is, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. We have a country where we have a process by which laws are made. And for the president to just say, I can do whatever I feel like doing, ignore student debt, not secure the border, that's really a problem for our system of government, in addition to what's happening, of course, with the invasion at the southern border.
Yeah, and that raises a good question that I hear all the time. Why is there no accountability? Where is the checks and balances between the three branches of government? Why are they not being held accountable to uphold the law?
Yeah, I mean, you and I were there, and the power of the purse is the most important thing invested in the U.S. House of Representatives, where I serve and you served. And our chamber needs to guard that power and make sure that the people who elected us, we use it to restrict the president when they get out of control. And frankly, you're seeing Democrats don't really care, and weak Republicans who are just so afraid of a Democrat-caused government shutdown just cave in and give the Democrats all the money they want with no restrictions. And this is really, it just enables. It's like we're enabling Kamala Harris to have an open border because we don't punish them. The legislative branch really has to stand up for themselves. It's really a constitutional crisis here. The president has just assumed to themselves all these powers they don't have. And the House of Representatives has allowed it because we keep giving them the money. We just shouldn't give them the money. It's really that simple. But,
it really
it's a political battle. Yeah, it's a political battle. Mm-hmm.
It is, and it was an incredible honor serving with you in that capacity, Alex Mooney. Let me ask you this. I wish we had some more time. Of course, Kamala Harris now is trying to give the image that she's strong on the border, blah, blah. We've kind of dealt with that. What do you hope tonight? She's got the interview with CNN. What kind of questions would you hope would be asked of her? And we've got about a minute left.
Oh, just for her to be honest about her extreme positions, that why she didn't secure the border all this time, and then why she supports abortion on demand for 9 months with taxpayer dollars and no parental consent. They are the extremist party when it comes to moral issues. Why they want men beating up on women in sports. Why won't they protect women in sports? She is a radical. She's a complete radical. During the election, she's going to try and reinvent herself as some kind of a moderate, like Joe Biden pretended to do. But she's been nothing but an enabler of the most radical agenda this country's ever seen. So I just hope the interviewer doesn't let her get away with vague, non-committal answers or non-answers, and just admit it. Tell the truth. I hope she just tells the truth about her policies, that she supports these radical policies, and let the country make a decision.
Yeah, the American people deserve to know where she stands on all these issues.